Hey folks, welcome back. My name is Krishna. If you're new to the channel, welcome. I was on a bit of a 2-week hiatus due to a knee surgery. I'm on the mend. I'm not still feeling great. Haven't returned back to normal, so I turned off my webcam. But enough about that. I'd like to go ahead and share with you a technique that you can try to, bolster your creativity if you're feeling stuck. So this is a picture I happened to take when I was on a family vacation a couple of years ago. And whenever I'm out and about, of course I take pictures of my family, but I also like to take pictures of interesting landscapes because they can always turn into something more when I bring it back home. So what I've done here is I've imported an image of this really unusual rocky cliff side. And I'm going to use that as the basis for creating an illustration. And I apologize if my voice is feeling a little bit off. I'm still, not quite 100% there. So we're going to start off by going to Filter. We'll go to Filter Gallery. And you'll want to make sure that your black and white colors, the default colors that Photoshop uses, are set. And then we can start off with Stamp. And we'll see a preview here in a minute. I've talked about this particular filter effect before, but I haven't talked about something called the graphic pen effect, which is kind of interesting because it gives you a little bit more refinement. It's using black and white, but it's giving you a little bit more visual information. So you have the ability here to adjust things like increasing or decreasing the stroke length, the light and dark balance, and of course the stroke direction. And these are all things that are, pretty interesting to manipulate. So I'm just going to go ahead and click OK. I'm not going to belabor those selections too much because what I want to show you is that we can look at the structure, and there are two things that I see that are really interesting about this particular train. And I'm looking for areas where there's a lot of change and contrast. So the first thing that I see is this region up top here. There's a lot of movement. And when I say movement, there's a lot of going up, going down. It's like little bumps. That's very interesting for me to look at. The other thing that's also interesting is this shape that's embedded in this region where my cursor is moving to. Let me just make that a little bit easier for you to see. First of all, I'll right click, I'll rasterize the layer. This allows me to manipulate the filter directly. And I'm going to, first of all, select this region. I'll bump it into its own layer by hitting Command J. And then I'll select the bottom area. I'll hit Command J. And let me just turn off the original filtered image. So I'll move this over to the side. And you might be seeing a creature on the right-hand side. If you look carefully, you can see an eyeball. You might even see a mouth and a jaw. That's pretty interesting, in my opinion. It's like, that's kind of an unusual dinosaur or a sci-fi type creature. But this one seems a little bit less clear. But again, if we look closely, and I'm going to zoom in, we can see that there are some regions that are darker than others. Like we see this kind of stark contrast here in the middle. And we see what looks to be some type of a jawline. Let me just go ahead and use my brush. And I'll drop the opacity here so you can see what I'm talking about. We have this shape here. We have some type of shape here. And you don't have to use all of the shapes, but I'm just pointing out the ones that I think are interesting. So I've got something like this. And then if I keep those existing contours, again, you don't have to be absolutely beholden to every single shape. But in this case, I just want to prove that you can use something as is. And in my other videos, I've talked about similar concepts here where you can take the shape and rotate it to come about with different solutions here. So I've got this really interesting creature. Kind of looks like a character that might have a long hair, or maybe is kind of very naughty or whatever, in the sense that has a lot of dreads or something like that. I don't know. But in any event, I've got something that I can work with. For example, I can say that this is the mouth. Just give him a mouth here. So I can come up with a cartoony character or something along those lines. You can always add form to shape to give it dimension. And then in this particular case, maybe I'll embellish this by treating it as if it's long hair. So we have one creature now. If I turn off my layer, there we go. We've got this really interesting creature. And, I can flesh that out by, adding more details, more textures, etc. So let's take a look at this other creature here. So I can take this, and I'm going to try to do something a little bit different. I'm going to try rotating it and see if there's other things that I see that are just beyond the obvious things, because I think that's also really, really important. For example, this can look like a foot of some type, a foot for a creature. So if I were to trace that, that looks like the heel. And you can conduct these exercises on your own when you're out with your family, or when you're out by yourself and you're just exploring. If you're going on a woodland hike, or if you're in the city somewhere, take a picture of some interesting things that maybe most people will actually overlook. That's what I like to do. I like to take pictures and then bring them into the laboratory and then do some really cool things with it. So I've got, an ankle there. Maybe I'll just give him some wrinkles. You can add all sorts of details. I'm not going to go ahead and belabor that point too much, but it's kind of an unusual foot. And on a similar notion, I can take that, scale that down. And you can really try to, take one shape or two shapes and really try to do multiple things. Challenge yourself and see if there's a way that you can create new characters from just one shape that is rotated. So I've got this. And then you can use the creases or the dark areas that are on the actual structure as places to indicate some shading. So that's what I'm going to do right now. I'm just going to make some very rough outlines. There's the nose. And if I hide this, now I've got this really unusual, interesting creature. I can go ahead and give him some teeth, maybe open the mouth a little bit, give him some beady eyes. You get the idea, right? So there's so much you can do with everyday photographs. I've talked about using your photos as blueprints for brushes that you can make within Photoshop that give you all sorts of different textural components when you work with them. This is just another way that you can use photographs that you've taken to great effect. So I hope you found this video to be helpful. Stick around as I go ahead and try to clean some of these things up and add some color. I'm going to try to do this as an experiment so that you can tell me if you think this is something cool to watch. If not, I'll just go ahead and leave the video at the end. But let's just get some bonus time on the clock here. So from this point up, I'm just going to go ahead and work. You'll see me work at a faster speed. I won't talk, and you'll just see me add some inks and colors and so forth. All right. So with that said and done, see you in the next video, and thanks for watching, and sit back and relax and see me finish this out.